Reading has become such a big part of my life, such an important thing that I've implemented recently over the past about 4 or 5 years now. And one of the things that I like to read the most are self-help books. I just feel like they are jam-packed with so many different gems, life lessons, so many different things, and there's a ton of them out there written by a ton of different authors with different perspectives, different things that help them specifically throughout their life. And that's the cool thing about reading, is that you're able to take all of these different puzzle pieces and kind of put them together in your own unique way. In this video, I'm going to be covering my personal top 7 self-help books, some of my favorites, so that maybe one day you can go out and check them out for yourself. If you're interested in that, let's go ahead and get into it. So number 1 on my list is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. In this book, Napoleon Hill basically took 20 years and interviewed some of the top richest men in America at the time. People like Henry Ford, John D. Rockefeller, and even Thomas Edison. I think he interviewed a total of like 400 or 500 people for this book, and just gathered all their knowledge, expertise, and experience, and put it really all into one book. This is like the OG daddy of self-help books, jam-packed with just a ton of little nuggets of knowledge sprinkled throughout the pages. Things like training your subconscious mind, using the power of emotion, visualizing and acting as if you already have what you set out, to get. Acting and conducting yourself as if wherever it is that you're trying to go, you already are there. Visualizing and acting as if you already are the person that you want to become. Number 2 on my list is Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter by Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. I really like this book because it's like part self-help, part biography. You get to know a little bit more about 50 Cent. I'm old enough to still remember grimy, Get Rich or Die Trying 50 Cent. So it's dope to fast forward, and he's one of the highest paid executives over at Stars, and he's gotten into everything from film, fashion, vitamin water, alcohol, you name it. 50 Cent has kind of touched it or done it, and I relate to a lot of his upbringing and come up. Being a black man in America, there's a lot of similarities that some of us go through. There's a lot of things that I can relate to as a black man, and to see him go literally from rags to riches is awesome. And he's just really giving it up in this book, really talking about how to navigate the streets, how to navigate the music industry, the film industry. He's really mastered the art of executive smarts combined with street smarts, and how to intertwine the two, and how having both of those things connected can definitely propel you and benefit you to become, successful and wealthy. Number 3 on the list is Black Privilege by Charlanan the God. This is also kind of like part biography, part self-help. You get to know a lot about Charlanan from reading this book. So if you follow any of his podcasts or shows, or you watch him on the Breakfast Club and you're a fan, or you want to know more about him, it's a good way to get to know more about him. But he does a really good job in this book by telling you about him, while also discussing and breaking down some of the lessons and things that he's learned, as he pretty much went from a small town boy. He goes into detail about where he grew up and a lot of the adversity and a lot of things that he went through. But what's cool about this book is he does it in a really witty, entertaining way. It's a really entertaining and interesting book. And as a hip hop fan, he talks about stories, him interacting with artists like T-Pain, Busta Rhymes, and Kanye West. So it's a lot of dope things in the book. Some of the key things that Charlamagne really touches on in the book is just embracing oneself to truly be successful, owning up to your mistakes, never giving up on your dreams, and making the necessary sacrifices to get to wherever it is that you're trying to go. If you know anything about Charlanan, you know he's super blunt. He can be super abrasive. So obviously one of the things that he preaches constantly in the book is just that honesty is the best policy. Be honest with others, but most importantly, be honest with yourself. Being able to accept your circumstances, but not let them define you. All right, moving on to number 4. This book is called Be Obsessed or Be Average by Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone has to be just one of my favorite characters. I call him a character because he's just so, if you know who Grant Cardone is, if you don't, I strongly recommend that you just look him up.
I ain't got the time. They're not there. They're not home. I can't find them. I lost the phone up. Dude, quit being a little bitch.
Like 7-time New York Times best-selling author, a selling genius. He is a real estate investor, a millionaire. He has a private jet. Like, he's just crazy. With this book, what I recommend is getting an audiobook, because you get to just totally feel his energy through the audio. And he's so charismatic, so outgoing, so passionate about what he's talking about.
I want cake and I want ink, and that's what I get every single
This book is
day.
all about being okay with being obsessed, being okay with not wanting to be average, not listening to people, but listening to your gut, listening to that burning fire inside of you, that desire, and being okay with that. Because people are going to tell you, slow down, you're moving too fast. Why are you working so hard? Why do you want this so much? Why can't you just be like everybody else? And his whole concept is just that in order to be successful, you have to be obsessed. Harnessing your energy and focusing on one thing, not focusing on 5 different things lackadaisical, but really harnessing your energy and focusing on one thing, being obsessed with it, and being okay with it. You're fired up, you want this, you want to be rich, you want to be famous, or you want to have a mansion and a pool and the exotic cars. That's okay. Like, nothing is wrong with that. You have to be obsessed with that in order to be successful with it or to accomplish those things. Otherwise, if you just kind of lackadaisical and just kind of whatever about it, then you're never going to get there. You have to be obsessed, and that's pretty much what the book is all about. Number 5 on my list is 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. This book is 3,000 years of strategies, tactics, lessons combined into 48 very detailed laws. I remember hearing about this book years ago and finally getting the opportunity to read it. And when I did, I was just like, wow. Packed with so many practical and in some ways almost obvious just lessons about power and how to gain power, how to deal with power, how to earn power, how to use your power, and how to avoid getting power used against you. I think you really got to have an open mind when you read this book, because some of the laws can almost kind of seem contradicting in a sense. But the way I think about it is that each of the laws has a specific place within your life, society, time, depending on what kind of situation or what person that you're dealing with. So although some of the laws can kind of seem contradicting in a sense, you got to understand that it's very specific. I love this book. I read it all the time, and just go back and reference it and remind myself of some of the laws when it pertains to certain situations, or if I'm going into a certain situation or I'm dealing with a certain person, I'm like, okay, I'm going to apply that law to that particular situation. So number 6 on the list is Relentless by Tim S. Grover. Tim S. Grover is a extremely accomplished and famous trainer to basketball greats like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, Charles Barkley, and a ton of other people. He also trains like business executives and things like that. He goes into detail about what it takes to become great, not only physically but mentally. He has like these 13 rules of relentlessness. He doesn't list them 1 through 13. He lists them all 1 because he says none of the lessons are more important than the other. And he has 13 of them because he doesn't believe in luck. A lot of it is like MJ as an athlete, as a person, as a competitor, and how he pretty much had to match his energy. And he also talks about Kobe a lot, what that Mamba mentality really was, and things like trusting your instincts and how to get into the zone, how to adapt and control any situation, how to find what your opponent's weakness is and exploit it. And one of my favorites is how to don't think. He's coming from this athletic kind of background, and a lot of this stuff, you know, life is a competition. Every single day you have to compete against other people, you have to compete against yourself, and you have to get better in order to grow, in order to reach whatever goals that you're trying to accomplish, in order to win at life. And so he's coming with that kind of mindset because he deals with a lot of athletes. He's coming with that fire and that vibe. Really dope read. And finally, number 7, one of my personal favorites on the list. This one has like a special spot in my heart, and that's Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason. One of the best and most inspirational financial books probably written ever. A ton of practical financial advice. How to save money, earn money, get more money. And it's written in this really cool way. It gives me like Bible story vibes. You know, if you ever grew up or heard like biblical stories growing up, whether it's like Adam and Eve or Noah and the ark, the book is written kind of like that, with a ton of these like parables in there. And you walk away, or at least I did walk away from the book going like, oh, this book is specifically based around finance and just how to be like a stand-up person when it comes to your finances. Rules and laws to kind of guide you and to stand by and to stand up on. Very easy read, a very enjoyable read. You walk away from the book feeling like, hey, I can do that, and that's what I should be doing, and really, why haven't I been doing that? Those were my top 7 self-help books. I'm interested to know if any of you have checked out any of those books. If you have, write me in the comment section and tell me which one of the 7 that I listed that you've read, or which one of the 7 is your favorite. If you have any recommendations for me, I also want to know about those as well. Maybe I could do like a part 2 to this video. But that's pretty much it for me. If this video was helpful at all and you enjoyed it, be sure to drop a like and make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'm Sean Kiefer. Peace.